Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Crissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior podcast. I am so thrilled about my guest today, and I can't wait for you all to hear her story, pun intended. All those local listeners from the main line in Philadelphia area, you are sure going to recognize her name. Today, I have on the podcast with me, Kathy Romano. And Kathy Romano was born in New York, but grew up in Bucks County and is certainly considers herself a local girl now. For the last 19 years, she has been an on-air host and really the female presence of the Preston and Steve show on WMMR. She also hosts Her Story, which is on 95.7 Ben FM, and you can also find as a podcast, Her Story. She sits on the board of the Police Foundation and Night Shyamalan, and also Fresh Smiles. Kathy Romano also, in the past few years, recently launched the Kathy Romano Jewelry Collection, which she's going to tell us lots more about, and I can't wait to hear about. So she's also a mom and an amazing, fun woman. If you ever see her out, you will have a great time. Welcome to the podcast, Kathy.
Oh, thank you so much.
I am really excited. You know, what's great is that we've heard your voice for all of these years, right? And so many people I know recognize your name and recognize your voice, but I'm sure not everybody always recognizes your face.
You know, it's a little different now because there's so many cameras all over the place, whether it's a cell phone or in our studio, we now have podcast cameras or we have YouTube cameras. So we have a YouTube channel. So you can tune in any day and actually watch us. So more people than you think recognize people from our show when we're out.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. So they can actually tune in while you're live, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And everything with social media too. I mean, the second you hear something or see something that you like, you pick up your phone and you look and see if they have an Instagram or a TikTok or a Facebook or whatever it is. True. So people are seeing our faces all over the place. So what used to be, oh, I recognize your voice, but not your face, isn't so much anymore. Although I will say I have had people turn the corner in Target and say, I recognize your voice. So they do still recognize our voice, but I think they recognize our faces too.
So you've been in this industry for almost 20 years, well, at least on the Preston and Steve show for almost 20 years, which is really cool. So let's go back and tell me, was it your dream to be an on-air radio host and personality? Like, how did that happen for you?
No, not really. So I wanted to be behind the scenes. I started in television years ago, and I wanted to be behind the scenes. I loved all the editing and all of the producing and directing and everything that went into creating something that went on the air. I worked in the news industry for a few years. And when I was there, somebody suggested that maybe I try some on-air stuff. So I did that and made a reel. I was young. I was, a PA for NBC 10, and I decided to make a reel. And I ended up giving it to the news director just to look at and have him critique it, tell me what he thought. And he said, maybe you should try for traffic. Maybe you should try doing traffic for us, or, at least do a tryout. And I did. And I was hired part-time. I did traffic fill-ins, and I worked part-time when they needed somebody. And so that sort of jump-started the on-air portion of it. And then with that, Preston and Steve were looking for a female to join the show. And a friend of mine listened to them religiously. She loved them. And she said, hey, this group of guys, this show on the radio, they're looking for a new host. And so I ended up sending my information over to them. I sent my resume and they had me in. I kind of sat in on the show a couple of times over, a few months. And then finally they offered me a job.
That's so fun. And the Preston and Steve show, I know, has been like a staple, in the Philadelphia area for so long. And so how was that, for you, like joining these, I do think it's a male dominated industry. At least it seems like it was back in the day, with most disc jockeys, as they were called, or being men, and a lot of the on-air personalities being men. What was that like for you, being in that industry and starting out?
Well, so it's funny. When I first started, I was walking into work still as though I was walking into a TV station. So I was all dressed up. I had my hair done. I would do my makeup in the morning. And I remember them like looking at me going, what is this girl doing? They were in jeans, t-shirts, whatever, band they were going to see that night, or whoever had come into the station, they would just be wearing like very casual clothes. And as time went by, I eventually, morphed into that and got much more casual than I started out. But actually, we started at Y100, or I started at Y100 with them, and there was a female disc jockey there. So,
oh, great.
So I wasn't the only person on the air. I wasn't the only female on the air. But when we went to MMR, that was definitely more male dominated for sure, for many years. Now we have, there are several females that are on the air and behind the scenes. So there's a lot more women that work at MMR now than when we first started. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was hard. This is what I tell people. I grew up with all brothers, and the majority, I have a very large family. The majority of my cousins were guys. I had one female cousin that I was close with. So I was sort of used to that atmosphere. And I think that that's why I worked with Preston and Steve. I was sort of able to come in and we had chemistry. And I think because it was something that I could handle working in a male dominated industry. So yeah, so it just kind of, like I said, we had chemistry and it worked for us. And, there's certainly challenges still today being a female,
sure.
In a male dominated industry, but I never felt like I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So I know you said that they felt like they wanted like a female presence as part of their show. What do you think that you were able to bring to their show as a female, and that was different than if they just hired another man?
Well, so they did have a female on their show for a very long time, and she decided to become a mom. And then they tried out a few different other females, and I think it all had to do with the chemistry. It's hard to put that many people in a room together and have everyone get along and have everyone, sort of mesh and be able to have a conversation on the air that's going to be entertaining to the people that are listening. So it was really about that. And, what I brought to the show and what I still bring to the show, I think, is just me being genuine. What you hear on the air are things that have happened to me. My opinion on whatever topic it is we're talking about. I don't really shy away from too much. I'm, outspoken, and I don't have a problem with it. And I think that's, what they liked about me and what I can bring to the show and for the listeners.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I'm sure that authenticity absolutely comes through, in everything that you do. So let's talk a little bit about her story and that new show that you started doing. How long have you been doing that?
I think at this point, we've probably been doing it 6 or 7 years.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So Her Story is a show that airs on 95.7 Ben FM Sunday mornings. It's also a podcast on our website. You can find all of my interviews there. And I focus on a different woman each week, and she tells her story. And it started out as local women and people making a difference in the community, which I still have on today. But we've expanded. I think that COVID, actually, if there was a good in anything with COVID, it was that, we weren't having people in the studio, that we couldn't have anybody at the station, but I wanted to continue the show. So I started doing the interviews on the phone. I used to do all of the interviews in person, started doing the interviews on the phone. And it was sort of, I was able to expand. I spoke to a woman who was in London. I speak to people all across the country now, across the United States. It's not just based in Philadelphia. However, it is still strongly, my guests are still Philadelphia based. Many of them are Philadelphia based, but I'm able to kind of extend out across the country now and talk to different women. And there's so many different stories. I mean, if you go to our Instagram page, I really think we do a good job with the Instagram page. It just highlights which woman we're speaking with that week. And it just gives a quick little explanation as to what her interview was going to be about. And it's so many different topics. I mean, from depression to charity events to women opening boutiques and, women recovering from drug and alcohol abuse, a homeless woman who is now a lawyer. Like there's just so many things on there. And it's really, it's the range of who we talk to and what their story is. I mean, it's just is so expansive.
That's awesome. And did that start as like a passion for you, like a passion project, just to really start highlighting other women's stories? Is that, sort of something that
there was some changeover at the station at Ben FM. This was years ago. And I had been on Preston and Steve, but I really had never done any hosting myself on the radio. I had done some hosting on TV, and I worked for the Sixers for a while, and I was their in-arena host. So I had done interviews on my own, but nothing really for the radio station. And so I went to the program director at the time and said, is there anything I can do with all of this changeover? You now don't have, there was a woman that had left. So I said, you now don't have that female voice on the station anymore. Are you looking to do anything with this Sunday show? And so he said, go ahead. Yeah, take it, see what you can do with it. And, it's still going this many years later.
That's amazing. It's just such a wonderful thing to hear all these women's stories and like how different they are, but yet how much they can impact, us all. So I love that you're sharing that and sharing that with the world. I mean, that's really the same purpose behind Suburban Warrior, right? Just to get other women's stories exposed and more people hearing them, just so we can inspire each other. So I love that you're doing that.
I mean, I spoke to one that just sticks out to me now, are these two friends that started a business, and they come into your home and they fold your laundry.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's anything. That there was another woman who, she is a fitness instructor, and she basically, her life's mission is to spread joy. And so, and her middle name, her true middle name given to her by her mother is Joy. And this woman has been spreading joy in her community and to anybody who comes into her life since she was 9 years old. Her story is airing this Sunday, but she at 9 years old was going into mental institutions because her mother would be admitted to these hospitals, and she would go in there to visit her mother at the time when she was 9. And this was a different day and age, but she was able to go in, and she basically would dance for the patients to try to get them to smile. Like, she's amazing.
Wow. That is so great. And so what's great is so they can tune into the show on Ben FM on Sunday mornings, but then they also, if they miss that, it's also a podcast called Her Story that they can find wherever they get their podcasts, right?
Yes. So it airs Sunday mornings at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
If you're a mom, I know you're up, so it doesn't matter that it's that early. Exactly. Yeah. So you can listen on the radio station, and then the following Monday, I will always post the interview as a podcast, and you just go to 957benfm.com and you'll see Her Story. Click on that, and all of my interviews are listed right there.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so you're an on-air host, you have your own radio show, you're a mom, and then you just decide, okay, I'm going to start another business.
I thought, wait, with all my free time, I might as well do something else.
Exactly. I mean, I have so much free time. I'm not doing enough already. Let me get into a completely different industry and start a whole nother business. But that's why I just love what you're doing, because I really think it speaks to the fact that none of us are limited, right? I mean, you can truly do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it and decide you're going to do it. And that's exactly what you did. So let's talk about how the Kathy Romano Jewelry Collection came about. First of all, it started as a thought in your head. And so take me through that, because we all get these thoughts in our head and we all think, okay, I want to do this or I want to do that. And a lot of times, a lot of people just like let it pass, or they think, oh, that's a dream that I'm never going to achieve, or that, I do X, Y, Z, so I can't do A, B, C. So I would love to hear a little bit about that thought process for you, when that thought came in and then you decided, okay, I'm doing it.
So I grew up in a family where my parents always said yes, whatever. We had some weird random idea and they'd be like, absolutely, yes, go do that. Take the piano and make it a fort with sheets draping all over this piano that they probably paid tons of money for and nobody played. Absolutely.
Right.
Go
do
right
something
ahead
with it.
That. Yes, do so. So they were always up for anything. So I think that's where my background comes from, and being open to different ideas and trying different things. And even though I don't have a whole lot of time, I have a full-time job, and like you said, I am a mom. I have an 11-year-old, and he's extremely active, just as active as I was as a kid. But it was something, that I thought I was actually standing in a store in Nashville. I was in Uncommon James, Kristen Cavallari's store. Yeah. I was standing in her store, and the line was through to check out, was through the entire boutique, out the door and down the street. I could not believe how many people were there. Now, granted, she is, a reality star and has a lot of fans. And so I think anybody that visits Nashville, probably, if they're a fan of hers, will stop into the store. I went because I was with a bachelorette party and everybody wanted to go there. So we went, but I'm standing in the store, I'm looking at the jewelry, and I purchased a bunch of it, but it was so small and dainty and very pretty and very wear every day type of jewelry. And I'm like, I can't believe the line of people looking to buy this very, I don't want to say simple, because even though it was simple, it was very beautiful, but I just thought, I can do this. Like, why can't I go home and create all of this too? And so I did. I came home, and there actually was her story guest of mine who was a jewelry designer. And I reached out to her and I said, do you have any advice for me? I'm thinking about doing this. Can you just give me some advice? And she said, hey, why don't I create your first collection for you? We can work together, kind of see where it goes. And then you can, go from there. And that's what we did. And it did so great. And I started to gain some traction, and people started to like it and want to purchase it. And so, she kind of said, because she had her own business as well. So she's like, I have to focus on my business. So she kind of, sent me on my way and was like, look, you can do this now. And she was great. She taught me a bunch about the industry. And I took a couple classes, and I sort of just started designing myself, and I design and assemble it, all of my pieces. And I go to, different shows, and I find, different pieces that I can use, some beading, and all of my jewelry is gold filled jewelry. So it's, a decent quality. It's not going to tarnish on you. And and so now I have this jewelry business that I love, and I love creating it and designing it. And when I make something or find a piece that I really love and create it into a nice piece of jewelry, I'm like, I kind of sit there and like, look at it. I'm like, it's so satisfying that I was able to create it. And you can purchase it online, but I'm in a bunch of boutiques now, which I really like that. I'm working with some other, small businesses. I know, Ashley Myers, Mainline Fashion.
I do.
Yes. So all of my stuff is in her store. I have a store out in Downingtown that carries it. Boutique on 30. There's Sanctuary Blue in Conshohocken. Heather Massage has a little massage store that, she carries some local designers and local businesses there. So I'm in there. I'm at Kiwi Boutique down the shore. So a bunch of little boutiques. And my website is KathyRomanoCollection.com, and you can find where to shop in store, but you can also purchase any of it online. Oh, and Chic Boutique. I forgot about them in Suburban Square.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm in her store as well. But so you can shop online, follow on Instagram. We post all of our pieces there, and and I have great Valentine's Day pieces that are available now.
Speaking of Ashley Myers, Mainline Fashionista, her boutique that's in Paoli, I've been in there several times, and your jewelry is so beautifully displayed. It's just beautiful jewelry. It's beautiful. It could be every day. It could be dressed up. to wear out at night. It's a beautiful collection. And, I love that you're in the boutiques, because it's great to buy online and, and see it online, but it's also, if you can get to a local boutique and check it out, it's so nice to be able to try it on and see how beautiful it looks on. So, and it's also great because it's like women supporting women, right? A lot of these boutiques are owned by other women entrepreneurs who are out there doing their thing. And I love when you see other women-owned businesses and collections being sold in there. So,
and also what I love about it is when you shop at boutiques, it's not everywhere. It's not mass produced. So
right.
You're not going to turn around and everybody's going to have the same piece on. I mean, of course I have what's on trend, but you're not going to find that exact piece. And because I'm, hand making all of them, there is limited quantity of them. I have some staple pieces that, I will likely have available, but a lot of the stuff, once it's sold out, that's it.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing that you're hand making them.
Yes. Again, all of my free time. My son says to me, he's like, all you're doing is, he goes, you make a lot of jewelry. He brought home this piece of paper that, something they had filled out at school. And it was like, what does mom do best? What does dad do best? And whatever, dad was like, make dinner, and mom was make jewelry. And then it was like, what's mom's favorite thing? Jewelry. I was like, wow, this is a kid's my marketing director. He's doing PR for me now.
And then you're like, I guess I am making a lot of jewelry all the time in all your free time. So but that's really fascinating. And I guess did you just know how to make jewelry, or did you have to take classes, or like, how did you figure that out?
Yeah, like I said, so my friend Jamie, who owns Whim Jewelry, she sort of got me started and helps me with it. And then, yes, I did take a couple classes, and I worked with Marinella. You know Marinella, right?
I know,
also,
yeah,
So
absolutely.
she was super helpful in sort of teaching me about, different ways to make bracelets and things like that. So I reached out to a couple people, spoke to them, was kind of guided in directions, and then took a couple classes. And, I learn as I go, and I try to continue with the education. There's different jewelry shows that you can go to, and they have a lot of demonstrations and classes and, ways to perfect what you're doing.
Yeah. And I love that, because it's really about learning from those who have gone before you, right? So like, whatever it is that you think you might want to do, none of us just know how to do it, right? We have to reach out, find a mentor, find someone who can sort of get us to help us to get where we want to be by learning from them, whether it's just some advice or actually them spending time with us to go through learning how it is to do something. So I love that you had those, special mentors that were there to help you along the way, till you were ready to sort of fly on your own.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually had a conversation with, I think it was Ashley, and we talked about, there's obviously, you have competitors. Whenever you open a business, there's going to be a competitor, but we just liked working together. And we were talking about how, Marinella helped me. I mean, technically she would be a competitor. She also makes jewelry, but she was so gracious when I had a question. She was like, anything you need, let me know. And so you kind of work together and don't make it a competition. And in reality, we're making two completely separate different things. Her creative mind is completely different than mine. But the fact that she, lent a hand and was, would help me out was and now we have these friends that we, are meeting up with and having drinks and, talking about
sharing ideas. And I mean, what is the old saying? I think it's like a rising tide raises all ships, or something like that, right? It's just about, everybody sort of, when you don't have that sort of competition or competitiveness within, then you realize that everybody has something to gain from it.
Yeah, you're stronger together.
Exactly. So do you have, being the creator of this beautiful jewelry line, do you have a favorite piece or something or maybe your bracelets are your favorite, anything that you look at and you're like, yay, that's,
well, I said, maybe I said, if I create it and I look at it, you there's just some satisfaction in creating something. And then when people start to purchase it or compliment you when you're wearing it, that makes me feel good. It's like, oh, people like this, they also like what I've created. I have a number of things that are out there. My favorite probably right now is the Natural Light medallion. It's a beautiful gold medallion, and I wear it. I'll usually layer it and wear it with a thick paper clip necklace along with the medallion. And it's just, it's just a really pretty sunshine looking medallion. And then we also have our Valentine's Day collection, which I also love. There's, I actually have never been a heart jewelry person, but when this Valentine's Day came around, I was like, I'm going to explore it and see if I can, get some things together that I like, because I know other people are. And I did. I found these adorable heart charms that we turned into a necklace, and then we have some bracelets, and so our Valentine's Day collection is really pretty. And then that Natural Light medallion, I absolutely love. We have great earrings. Oh, and all of my earrings are very lightweight. I have never worn heavy earrings. It bothers me too much. And I was always obsessed with not getting that stretched out earlobe with, the heavy earrings. So all of my earrings, if you purchase it, it's going to be lightweight.
Yeah, no, that is huge, because I think especially us moms, right, as we get a little older, we realize that we don't want heavy earrings pulling our earlobes down. So, I think that it's something that sounds so simple, but it's actually a huge factor in purchasing earrings. So I think that's really great that you have made them so that they're lightweight. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
I really, it's such a simple thing, but it's super important. Okay. So where do you see what is your goal? Where do you see Kathy Romano and the Kathy Romano Collection in the next couple of years?
I would love to continue to be in different boutiques. I really like making and putting them in the stores, just because I do have another full-time job. I do events. So I actually have a couple of events coming up where people can come and shop in person. I'm doing the Galentine's Day at Autograph in Wayne, Autograph the restaurant in Wayne. And that's on Wednesday, February 8th. And then again, we're going back to Ashley, as you may know at this point. Her and I are obviously good friends. But we're doing a men's Valentine's Day shopping event on Thursday, February 2nd from 5 to 7. It's for the guys to come out, and we're going to help you pick out gifts for your significant other. So we'll do personal shopping. I'll be there with the full Valentine's Day collection, and then Boardroom Spirits is going to come, and they're going to give the guys a cocktail while we get all their gifts ready for.
I love that.
Significant other, yeah. And then Ashley's
that is
gonna
so fun.
She's going to wrap them all, and we're going to make it look nice. And then you'll be done for Valentine's Day. You don't have to stress about it. So anyway, I like doing events like that. Like those two are easy. They're local. They're, 2 hours long, 2-3 hours, whatever it might be. So those are easy, but a lot of people in the jewelry industry, they'll go to these shows that are weekends and weekends long, and, sometimes hours and hours in the day. So because I have another full-time job, I can't always do that. I'll do some of them, but I can't always do it. So I like going into the stores and the boutiques. So if I could, continue that and expand in other areas. I mentioned a few that I was in at the Shore, Conshohocken, on the main line. But, if I could expand to other areas, I would love to do that.
Yeah. And I would imagine too, it's really special being in the boutique, because you can connect with customers one-on-one, which is always really fun. Like you said, when someone says, I like this, or someone puts it on and their, face just brightens, and, it's really kind of special after something that you created, seeing that impact.
Yeah. And you know what, if they buy from these small businesses, I've had a couple of people reach out to me to say, hey, this chain is a little bit too long, or I'd like to be able to wear it at 2 different lengths. Is there any way you can put a connector on it? Whatever. If you buy something at a big box store, it's, you get it. Of course, they have great stuff, but that's it. You can't reach out to most times you can't reach out to the designer and say, hey, can you customize this for me?
Exactly.
I just had somebody who wanted to be able to wear her necklace at 2 different lengths. And so, she got it back to me, and I put an extender on it, and now she has a necklace that she can wear, with different types of shirts and stuff like that. So I think, if you buy something from me, you want something customized, or you see something you like, but, like the beaded bracelets that I do a lot with, words on them or names. And, it doesn't have to be just what I have on my website. If you want to put, like I have a mom, a mama, a nanny, necklace or bracelet. So if you call your grandmother or your mom something else, I can also put that on the bracelet. You just reach out and I can make whatever you want.
Oh, that's amazing. That is super cool. So what advice would you give to someone who might be listening right now who, might be sitting on a business idea or, have a dream job of their own or might want to start a side hustle, but isn't? What would your advice be?
I'll give you the same advice that my mom always gave me, and it was just do it. Just go.
Do it. I love it.
We actually joke because my brothers and I, for a period of time, were involved in the film industry, or were trying to get into acting. Myself, and then my middle brother did, and then my youngest brother did as well. But he was more into screenwriting and filmmaking, which he still is. But my mom always said to us, and it's a joke in the family, is send your headshot. Just send your headshot. They'd be looking for they'd be looking for a 40-year-old woman. And at the time I was 25 and she goes, just send you never know. Just send your headshot. Just send it.
I love it.
That would be my advice, is just send your headshot.
Send your headshot.
Just do it. Whatever you have that you're thinking about, just try it. You might as well. I mean, what are you going to lose? It will never happen if you don't try it. If you try it and it works out, look at that. It's a plus. If it doesn't, you know what? Move on to the next thing then.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. That's amazing advice. And I love that. Send your headshot. I'm going to start using that because the mindset behind it is so great. I just love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I really loved hearing your story. I love seeing you, although all my guests won't get to see you, but I love seeing your face. And so we know that Kathy Romano Collection is where they can find the jewelry. They can follow you on Instagram at her story, but also Kathy Romano Collection Instagram.
Yeah. So her story is her story 957. Gotcha. And then it's at Kathy Romano Collection. And then I have my personal page, which is at Kathy Romano 11.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, guys, if you don't already, be sure to follow Kathy Romano on social and also check out her amazing, beautiful jewelry collection at KathyRomanoCollection.com. And if you guys are local to the main line, you heard all the boutiques that she is at. And we will put in the show notes where she's going to be upcoming before Valentine's Day. So hopefully you can get out or send your husband over to Mainline Fashionista Boutique for the men's event on February 2nd. That would be awesome. Get yourself a nice Valentine's gift. All right. Well, thank you, Kathy, for joining us. And everybody, we will be back next week with another amazing Suburban Warrior story for you. See you next week.